California just went full chaos mode. Whole neighborhoods vanished in minutes. What started as a regular rainy day turned into something that no one could have imagined. Oak Glen. Oak Glen is a quiet little mountain town about 80 miles east of Los Angeles. Usually it's the kind of place people go to get away. Apple orchards, fresh mountain air, calm weekends. That peace, completely gone this week. It started out normal, just light rain. People barely noticed. "We've had rain before," they said, but this one, it wasn't normal. A few hours later, the rain turned into a pounding storm. It felt like the sky was falling. The hillsides didn't help. Years of wildfires had left them burned and weak. When Tropical Storm Mario rolled in, it dumped inches of rain in just a few hours. And water on those burned hills? It doesn't just soak in. It comes rushing down fast. Then the mud came. Walls of it, rocks, debris, charred trees rushing right into town. People said it sounded like a freight train tearing through the canyon. First, a low rumble, then louder, then deafening. By the time anyone realized what was happening, it was already too late. Mud tore up streets. Cars disappeared. Driveways ripped apart. Homes slammed. Power lines snapped. Sparks lighting up the dark, stormy sky. Trucks tossed around like toys. Families had seconds, maybe less, to react. Parents grabbed kids and pets, running for higher ground. Neighbors held hands, forming chains to pull the elderly to safety. In minutes, Oak Glen went from a peaceful getaway to a total nightmare, and it didn't stop there. Even after the first mudslides, creeks overflowed, turning streets into rivers. Trees were uprooted, debris everywhere. The tiny fire station became a rescue hub with volunteers running around helping anyone they could reach. The town that had always felt safe, gone overnight. Now it was just fear, chaos, and the sound of water roaring through everything. No time to escape. And the speed? Absolutely terrifying. People barely had time to grab anything. One family said their front door literally blew open under the pressure of mud. Furniture got swept out into the street in seconds. The ground shook like an earthquake. The roar of the sludge drowned out everything else. Emergency crews did everything they could. But the roads? Gone. Boulders, fallen trees, waist-deep mud. Firefighters left their vehicles behind, wading through the muck, trying to reach people trapped. On State Route 38, 6 cars were stuck with 10 people trapped between mud and debris. Firefighters tied ropes and pulled each person to safety. Helicopters hovered above, searchlights cutting through the rain. Even from the sky, it looked impossible. Neighbors jumped in too. People shouting names, climbing on rooftops to signal for help, running to higher ground with nothing but the clothes on their backs. For Oak Glen, those hours felt endless. The town they loved, buried under black sludge, overturned cars, uprooted trees, tangled power lines. Even after the worst passed, the fear didn't go away. Families just sat together, watching the mud settle, thinking about how fast life could turn upside down. Pets gone, homes ruined, memories washed away. Nobody said much, just held each other, waiting, hoping nothing else would hit. The silence after felt heavy, like the town itself was trying to catch its breath. Some people said it felt like time stopped. One moment, they were watching the rain through their window, and the next, everything outside was gone, swallowed by mud. It didn't even look like their street anymore. Cars were flipped, fences vanished, and water still poured down the hillside like a river. Power was out everywhere, and phone lines were dead. People had no idea if help was even coming. When daylight finally broke, the destruction was unreal. Streets looked like rivers of dirt, houses tilted sideways, and cars were half buried. People stepped outside and didn't recognize their own neighborhood. That morning, California woke up to silence. Not relief, but disbelief. What used to be peaceful mountain towns now looked like a scene from a disaster movie. The desperate push to save lives. When mudslides slowed, the fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. Rescuers launched massive operations lasting through the night. Bulldozers carved paths through blocked roads. Helicopters dropped crews into cut-off neighborhoods. Firefighters went door to door, sometimes breaking through mud just to make sure no one was trapped. Elderly residents were carried on stretchers. Children wrapped in blankets led to emergency shelters. Schools, churches, and community centers opened doors for anyone with nowhere else to go. The Red Cross moved fast, setting up food, water, and first aid stations. Volunteers arrived, many of whom had lost their own homes, offering blankets, hot meals, and water. The town ran on adrenaline. Sirens echoed through canyons. Floodlights lit up the wreckage. Bulldozers roared late into the night. Social media became lifelines, updates, safety checks, desperate calls to locate family members. Officials warned danger wasn't over, hillsides are unstable, and flash floods are possible. For Oak Glen, terror stretched far beyond one night. And just when it felt like Oak Glen had taken the brunt, news from Barstow broke hearts across California. This mudslide wasn't just about destroyed homes or cars. It became a life or death story, a reminder of how fragile safety really is. Communities across the region felt the impact. Parents held their children tighter that night. Families realized how fast everything can vanish. Xavier's disappearance became the storm's most painful symbol. Heartbreaking stories. Even when everything was falling apart, people showed strength. Neighbors who barely knew each other suddenly teamed up to survive. Families cooked meals for strangers. Volunteers handed out water, flashlights, and blankets. Local businesses, even ones hit hard themselves, gave whatever they could. Firefighters and utility crews barely slept, just pushing to get even a little normal back. Oak Glen said it all. Streets were muddy and wrecked, but people were standing together, not sad or defeated, but helping each other. They swapped stories about escaping, shared what little they had, offered trucks, spare rooms, or just someone to talk to. It didn't matter who you were or how long you'd lived there. Everyone was part of the same team that night. When night came, hope didn't disappear. Strangers gathered around small fires, telling stories to keep spirits up. Kids laughed even though the world around them was a mess. Someone played guitar, and others sang quietly, just to make things feel a little normal again. In moments like that, you realize that connection can actually fix a broken day. Disasters don't just destroy buildings, they show what people are really made of. They show kindness, courage, and heart. You can rebuild homes and roads, but the way a community comes together, that's what really gets people through the worst. Emergency response. By the time the skies cleared, California was scarred, but not broken. Oak Glen is buried under mud, roads gone, cars destroyed. Families had lost homes, but recovery had already begun. Bulldozers digging. Utility crews are climbing hills to restore power. Volunteers arriving with donations. California isn't new to disasters. Wildfires, earthquakes, mudslides, they're part of life here. And yet, every time people push through, rebuild, heal, remind the world, nature is powerful, but human resilience, even stronger. Oak Glen, Barstow. These towns have a long road ahead, but their story proves it. Even in chaos, hope survives. Families continue to check on neighbors. Volunteers still roam the streets offering food and comfort. Emergency crews monitor every slope, every creek. And for those who lost homes, the support is relentless. Community members, even from miles away, send supplies, blankets, and messages of encouragement. Even as floods recede and mudslides stop, the trauma lingers. The images of overturned cars, smashed homes, and missing children don't fade, but neither does the courage of those who acted without hesitation. Parents running into rushing water, strangers lending a hand without question. Firefighters risk everything just to save lives. That courage, it's infectious. It spreads through towns like wildfire. And while the news cameras leave, the work continues. People rebuild not just homes, but trust. Not just roads, but community. And sometimes that takes longer than bulldozers and cranes ever could. Even the kids are helping, passing out water bottles, folding clothes, handing out snacks to first responders. Teachers check in on their students daily, making sure they're safe and mentally okay. The bond within these towns feels different now, stronger, deeper, like everyone's been through the same storm and survived together. It's a reminder that real strength isn't in buildings or money, it's in people. So, what would you do if you were caught in a disaster like this? Could you stay calm and help others, or would panic take over? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more updates. Thanks for watching.